In recent years, the max camo in Call of Duty has been considered to be the major grind in each game that it's been a part of. But when you compare the Damascus Camo grind here in Modern Warfare to the grinds of Dark Matter, Chrome Camo, Black Sky, and whatnot, it is honestly not even close. The Damascus Camo this year is, without a doubt, the end-all be-all unlock in the game, and it is the most difficult camo grind that we've ever seen in Call of Duty history. So today we're breaking down the Damascus Camo grind, and really going over what you can expect in terms of how long it'll take to complete, and of course the best tips and tricks to get through the various camo challenges that we have this year. But before we jump into that, if you are new here, every day I am posting new videos covering the latest Call of Duty news and intel. So if you do want to stay up to date with all of that, feel free to subscribe with your notifications turned on, that way you'll always know when I post a new video. And of course, if you enjoyed this one, let me know by dropping a like rating on it, as it would be much appreciated. And now let's get into the ultimate Damascus Camo guide. So first and foremost, this grind, as I mentioned, is ridiculously hard and extremely time consuming. There are 39 total base weapons in this game, between all the primaries and all the secondaries. And between those 39 weapons, every single one of them has 103 total camos to unlock, including Gold, Platinum, and of course Damascus. Now, apparently, according to some of the developers from Infinity Ward, they said on average, it'll take a player roughly 18 hours to earn Gold on just one weapon alone. So by that math, 39 guns at 18 hours apiece on average is going to equate to a total of 702 hours, or roughly 29.25 days of playtime. But chances are not every weapon is going to take 18 hours to perfect. Some guns like the LMGs only took me a few hours, maybe 4 or 5, but others like the Riot Shield or the pistols may end up taking a bit longer since they're not nearly as effective to use. But nonetheless, an average completion time of nearly 30 days of playtime is seriously impressive. Now, I'll leave timestamps to each one of today's challenges in the description below and also in the pinned comment. So if you are looking for some help in just one area in specific, that will be there for you if you need. And I also want to give a quick shout out to my buddies Saw and Lazy for helping me compile the list of all the challenges for each weapon category, and I'll leave both of their links in the description too. Anyways, for Damascus this year, each weapon category has 10 different types of challenges you'll need to complete, with some overlapping between all the categories and some being exclusive to certain weapons like snipers or the melees, etc, etc. The first and honestly the easiest of all the challenges is going to be the overall kills, and this is just straight up kills using whatever weapon you're on, and this is one that you really don't have to focus on because as you're doing all of your other challenges, this one will be progressing in the background. So just simply use the weapon and this challenge will be completed over time. Headshots are going to be another challenge that you'll need to complete on quite a few different weapons, and honestly this is something that will sometimes happen naturally, but there are also certain weapons that I've noticed so far where the headshot challenges will be the last thing I need to complete because I just wasn't getting enough of them while playing normally. Now, hardcore is actually going to make headshots extra lethal, so if your aim is on point, hardcore could be the fastest way to finish your headshots in general. But in the words of Pomage, sometimes you also just have to force yourself to aim higher. Now, the same thing can also be said for one-shot kills as well, which you'll need on these snipers for instance, and hardcore is definitely going to be a big help with getting more one-shot kills in a shorter amount of time. Other than that, once again, aiming for the head or upper body will also increase your chances of getting more one-shot kills in general. Moving on, crouch kills is one that's going to be pretty self-explanatory. Literally just crouch. There's really not much more to it than that. And I noticed that because of going for crouch kills so far, I found myself now automatically going to crouch when I get into an engagement. The muscle memory is just there now, it seems. So this is another one that should progress relatively quickly. Mounting kills, though, are definitely something you will have to go out of the way for, and with that, the biggest tip I can provide here is to mount ledges or walls in high traffic areas. If you're just sitting in your spawn mounted on a barrier, you're probably not going to be getting that many kills, whereas if you're mounted by the center of the map or by one of the main flags in Domination, you're going to be finding a ton more enemies to actually pick off. Of course, this challenge will require you to slow down your pace of play a lot, but when you focus on mounting wherever you can, it really shouldn't be too hard to accomplish. Next up, long shots are another challenge that will just happen naturally most of the time, especially if you're playing a mode like Ground War or if you're just playing on the larger maps built for 10v10. Personally though, I would recommend playing Ground War above everything else, since obviously the more enemies you have in a single match, the higher the potential is to increase your challenge progression faster. And on both Karst River Quarry and on Tovorsk District, there are an absolute ton of angles for long shots. Now, the long shot range is going to differ from weapon to weapon. For ARs, it's obviously much longer than it is for shotguns, and the same would go for snipers and so on and so forth. But just putting distance in between yourself and the enemies is the most basic yet effective way to get more long shots in a match, and ultimately over time. Continuing on, we then get into the hipfire kills, and this is once again something you'll probably have to go out of your way to complete in any decent amount of time. I highly doubt you'll be burning through hipfire challenges left and right, unless of course you're just playing with a controller that has a broken left trigger, because that only makes sense at that point. Anyways, coinciding with certain attachments, hipfire kills really don't have to be all that difficult. Using things like the 5mW laser and the PERK foregrip are going to end up increasing your hipfire accuracy, and in turn they're going to make getting those hipfire kills much easier. I know from experience when doing these challenges so far, I've actually surprised myself with some of the hipfire kills I've gotten with these two attachments equipped, so I can say with confidence they are a very big help. We then have getting kills using all of your attachment slots, meaning your weapon has a total of 5 attachments equipped on it. And much like the overall kills, this is something that will just happen by itself. You really can't speed this process up all that much, and same deal goes for the next challenge of getting kills without any attachments equipped whatsoever. Obviously, that one is a bit more frustrating since you don't have any attachment benefits at all, but it's not nearly as difficult as some of the other challenges that we're about to get into. Like, for instance, getting kills shortly after reloading. This one is, it's just not that fun if you ask me, because more often than not, I found myself having to go out of my way to reload just so I could get through these challenges a little bit faster. As I mentioned in my gameplay tips video from the other day, the best solution to getting more kills shortly after reloading is to 1. Use the sleight of hand weapon perk. That's just going to allow you to reload faster outright, and in turn you can get back into the action faster and ideally avoid missing out on a potential kill because you were stuck in a slower reloading animation. Then 2. Shoot a bullet when you first spawn in or upon reloading. That way when you actually see someone next, you can try to reload quickly before engaging and hopefully be able to get the jump on them. With this one, I found myself reloading right before I'd run into a room, and if I was lucky there'd be an enemy or two to pick up, and I'd basically just rinse and repeat that as much as possible. You'll also need to get a 3 kill streak a handful of times on a lot of weapons in this game, and that's a challenge that honestly progresses really fast in Ground War, I've noticed, probably because when there's 32 enemies on the other team, getting 3 kills at a time doesn't really seem all that impressive. So definitely play Ground War for that one and you'll have it done in no time. Now we're jumping into some of the harder challenges. These ones are all a bit more specific and demanding in some cases, compared to all the previous ones, which in all reality were pretty basic. First up, we've got point blank kills. Shotguns will need these, and they're kind of a pain because they don't seem very consistent. I've had times where I've ran into a room, taken out 2 enemies from the same distance, and one kill is a point blank one and the other one's not, so that was all sorts of fun. But basically, you'll need to be as close to an enemy as possible for the point blank challenges to progress. You'll actually end up seeing a notification on your screen when you get a point blank kill, so you'll know if you're doing it right or not, and for this one, really just trying to flank, trying to play corners, and basically just using speed and stealth to try and get up in the enemy's faces is going to be the best way to go about it. Then we've got double kills, which once again in Ground War is especially easy on most weapons. One of them it's not so easy with though is the riot shield, and I guess by association the knife as well. Both melee weapons do require double kills, which ultimately are a nightmare to get with just how fast the TTK is in this game. So really the double kills there are all about playing modes where the enemies are forced to work together, like Domination, so once again Ground War is a solid option, or Headquarters, as people will obviously have to be close to one another to capture the objectives, which in theory should help you get more double kills in the long run. Now we get into the melee specific challenges, and these ones, honestly, just telling the truth, are not fun. You'll need to get kills from behind here, so running dead silence is going to be a big help. That way you can sneak up behind enemies without them hearing you. Ideally, your character's not going to yell out contact when you're 2 feet away, then you get turned on. That'd just be a bad time. But anyways, on top of that, I would also recommend Ghost and probably Double Time as well. That way you can maneuver off the radar and also a bit faster. You will also need to get kills after you've taken damage or while you're injured, and you can go about this one a few different ways. You can always try to take some damage from an enemy and just hope they don't kill you before you're able to take them out. Or you can jump into hardcore, hit yourself with a flash or just have a teammate tap you with a weaker weapon, and then try to take out an enemy and sort of just cheese the system. But either way, this is a challenge that is going to take a very, very long time to do, really no matter how you go about it. Another challenge you'll need to complete is to get finishing moves with your melee weapon out, and for this one, essentially you'll want to play it the same exact way as you would when trying to get kills from behind, but rather than meleeing an enemy from behind, instead execute a finishing maneuver by holding your melee button when behind an enemy. We also need to take out enemies who are near smoke, so to initiate this one, the most surefire way to go about it is to run a smoke grenade and play an objective mode like Domination or Headquarters. Then when you know an enemy is near an objective, throw the smoke in, take them out, and really just rinse and repeat that until the challenge is complete. Getting kills while using Dead Silence is another challenge you'll have to complete to get gold on the melee weapons, and apparently as of right now this one is actually glitched. You can actually do it without Dead Silence on, however I assume that is going to get fixed here shortly. But for this one, either way, just make sure you know where an enemy is going to be, and then activate Dead Silence before you take them out to progress this challenge. Once again, I would recommend Ground War here, just on the basis of there being more potential enemies to actually take out. Then finally for the melees, you'll also need buzz kills too, and you get those by killing an enemy who is close to earning a kill streak. So honestly, that's one you really can't speed up. It's all dependent on the enemy team, but it really should be something that just happens naturally over time. Now, the last set of challenges we have today are exclusive to the launchers, and these, much like the melee challenges, really aren't too fun either. Starting us off here, you'll need attacker medals, meaning you're getting kills while attacking an objective. So you will need to be capturing a flag in Domination or a location in Headquarters, while also getting kills with the launcher for those to count. And coinciding with that, you'll also need defender medals as well, meaning you're taking out enemies who are capturing an objective that does not belong to you. So for both of those, you're really just going to need to camp by objectives, and over time with enough effort and probably a little bit of luck too, you should have them completed. You will also need to take out aerial streaks, so literally anything that is flying that is a kill streak, from the UAV to the VTOL and so on, you will need to destroy it. Same thing goes for ground streaks as well, like the turrets and the wheels on streaks, so keep your eyes out for those as well. And you'll also need to destroy support streaks specifically too, and those classify as the personal radar, the UAV, the counter UAV, and the advanced UAV, and of course all of that is pretty straightforward. If you hear or see a streak get called in, make sure taking out said streak is priority number 1. Launchers also require you to destroy equipment, so keep your eyes out for claymores, C4, and proximity mines, and if you do happen to come across any, blow them up and tack on some progress there. Then, in general, you will also need to just destroy kill streaks, so any ground or air streaks will fall under that, and you'll also need to destroy vehicles too. So ground war is really going to be the primary mode of choice for that challenge, as there are plenty of vehicles to take out, between the tanks, ATVs, and everything else in between. Also, we have to get kills using the WARHEAD perk, but WARHEAD is not a perk in the game, and apparently instead WARHEAD was renamed to Amped, and they just forgot to change that according to David Mickner, who works at Infinity Ward. So good grief, that is all the challenges you will need to complete many times over again in order to unlock gold on every weapon, platinum for every weapon class, and ultimately the Damascus Camo in general. As I mentioned, some of those challenges overlap from category to category, whereas others are fine-tuned for specific classes, making this a very, very tedious process, and easily the most extensive grind we've ever seen in Call of Duty when it comes to the ultimate camo. So hopefully the video helped you out. If it did, or if you just enjoyed it, let me know by dropping a like rating on it, as it would be much appreciated. And of course, if you are new here, feel free to subscribe with your notifications turned on. That way you'll always know when a new video goes live. As always, be sure to use code IMMORTAL on all G Fuel, Control Freak, and Respawn products. All of those links can be found down in the description below. And once again, thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.